Arno Sano, audio log, December 1st, 2207. Today marks the 2-year anniversary of maintaining this audio diary as prescribed by my therapist. It's funny, but looking back, I have to admit that this technique of self-reflection and stress management has helped me analyze my actions and my emotional reactions toward things that happen to me. It has helped me grow as a person and as a professional. Here's a reminder to send my therapist, Dr. Nimentizer, a gift basket or something. So where did I leave off yesterday? Yes. So my supervisor assigned me with the task of ensuring all the departments actually submit their budget submissions to finance before the deadline of December 12th, so we can move on to the next step. Naturally, the liaisons for the other departments are so busy with their day-to-day tasks that they're neglecting what they need to provide us, which in turn prevents our department from doing our jobs. I really like the responsibility of the task, but it does feel like it's going to be a pain in the ass. I've sent multiple emails to department heads, but it feels like they're all ignoring my requests. I know they have more important things to work on, especially because we're an out-of-the-way, in-the-middle-of-nowhere research space station. But come on! If you screw with the budgeting office, then you won't get paid, or you won't get funding for your projects. And of course, once that happens, who's going to get the blame? The Office of Management and Budget? But who's been hounding the other departments to turn in their shit? Yep, that's right, the frickin' Office of Management and Budget. Gotta love my job, right? I mean, in all fairness, I get paid well to make sure departments are acting fiscally responsible. It's okay, because today my boss told me it was fine to visit each of the departments. I'm going to surprise them and actually get the data I'm needing. It'll be a great excuse to get out of the office and see other parts of the station too. Oh yeah! So I heard from Rachel and Kyle that some of the surveyor ships found something floating in the middle of space. Since Rachel works in communications, she heard about it and told the group chat. Actually, here's a reminder to edit that part out, as she could probably get in a ton of trouble if anyone important found out. Anyway, so I'm not sure what the object was exactly. It might be a gigantic meteor, asteroid, or maybe, a giant hunk of strange ore. Kyle works down in the docking bay, and he heard some of his colleagues had to help unload it from the surveyor tractor cables. I guess the research wing is going to take a crack at figuring out what it is. It's strange, though. I guess it was floating all by itself, far from any kind of planet, asteroid cluster, or anything that would have similar chemical composition. At least that's what Kyle says. Kyle knows more about that sort of thing than I do. After all, I'm just a budget analyst who just so happens to work in space. At the end of the day, I'm just a well-paid paper pusher. On another personal note, I celebrated my 1-year anniversary with Sarina yesterday. She's wonderful in so many ways. The way she laughs, her smile, her intellect, her humor, and the fact that she's a frickin' archeologist. I hit the jackpot. Sarina's the complete package. She told me she's being sent out tomorrow with another surveyor team to research some of the archaeological ruins we found on a forest planet nearby. I love seeing her eyes light up when she talks about a potential lost alien culture. She'll be gone for a month, but when she gets back, I'm gonna snuggle the shit out of her. Tomorrow I'm visiting the docking bays for their budget submission. Here's for hoping that they comply and give me what I need. Arno signing out. Arno Sano, audio log, December 2nd, 2207. Today was a hard day for sure. So where should I begin? Firstly, Sarina left today, headed to the forest planet approximately 40,000 miles or so away. While it's a short space flight, it's still 40,000 miles and a month's worth of lonely days. It's true that she gave me about 20 photos and a video to keep me company, but, I mean, there's nothing compared to the real thing. It's all good, though. We're both adults with adult responsibilities. I'll just distract myself with work and hanging out with friends. When she gets back, she's going to have so many great stories. And me, well, my stories won't be great, and they probably won't be all that interesting. So I have the next week or so mapped out, and I plan on visiting a different department every day. Today, I went to the docking bay department. Can you guess how it went? Yes, it went that well. But then again, I suppose all things considered, it's not their fault. However, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning of my day. After I saw Sarina and her crew depart, I went into the office. My colleague Jake was buried in sudden station ordinances that needed to be verified, while my other colleague Donna has taken the egregious task of compiling all the new personnel requests over the next week and ensuring salary requests are aligned with the department budgets. That leaves me with making my rounds and trying to strong-arm the departments into giving me what I want. Well, what I want from the departments, anyway. They wouldn't be able to give me a $50,000 raise and a 2-week paid vacation for me and Sarina. Before I left the office to head to the docking bay, I packed along my laptop, some extra notebooks, and some pens in case I had to make their budget submission for them. That happened last year with medical and the research wing. And I wasn't prepared at the time. The walk from my office to the docking bay was kind of long, but it gave me a chance to clear my head. Considering that Sarina had only just left, I admit, I was still a little forlorn. I walked through some of the commercial and residential districts, and it was quite nice. People were out today, and everyone was super friendly. When I got down to the docking bay, I saw my friend Kyle, and that's when my day got sour. It turns out that not only was the director of the docking bay department sick, but so was an entire crew shift as well. Kyle works on the day crew. However, because the night crew was all down and out in the medical wing, he has to pull a double for the next couple of days. Which means I have no one to hang out with. I feel frustrated because I was really looking forward to grabbing a bunch of beers and playing some video games like in the old days. I guess I could play in solo queue, but I really needed some guy time. Oh yeah, and it also means I didn't get any further on getting docking bay's budget submittal either. The admin offices were quarantined by medical, and it turns out that the strange massive object was brought in at the start of the night shift last night. The whole night shift helped with unloading it, and now everyone is sick. I wonder if they had some kind of allergic reaction to it. I hope it's not like a sickness that's going to spread. I mean, it was in the cold dead of space. Surely no cells or viruses could exist in a vacuum, right? Maybe it's radioactive. That would make more sense. Kyle doesn't seem affected, which was great. I'm sure it'll be fine. And if I need to, I can always ask my director for an extension for the docking bay. I mean, if they got sick, it's no one's fault, right? Wait. Kyle said the whole night crew was down and out in medical. That's like 40 laborers. Can the medical wing even support that many patients? Surely they can. I mean, we're on a space station, millions of light years from home. They have to be well stocked. Tomorrow, I'll head to the energy department. They're really good about getting me their stuff, and it is uncharacteristic of them to ignore my emails. Then again, they do have a new director. Bureaucracy, am I right? Arno signing out. Arno Sano, audio log, December 3rd, 2207. So today was mostly uneventful. On a more professional front, I was able to meet with the Director of Energy, and she got me exactly what I needed. Director Bashirs even apologized for not submitting the budget submittal on time. Apparently, there have been some weird power fluctuations within the space station's core reactor, and they've been working very hard in order to stabilize the continuous power output. She also let me know everything was on a steady increase of efficiency until 2 days ago, when there was some kind of surge and then drain. I did remember that there were several flickering lights on the evening of December 1st, but I just dismissed it since the power returned. Then again, I did go to sleep, so the power could have went off or fluctuated during the middle of the night, and I would have never known. Director Bashirs did mention it was quite serious, and in fact it's still an ongoing problem. She asked me to ask my director about requesting funds to be diverted from the unappropriated budget to cover unexpected and concerning damages to some of the coils and some of the more intricate safety measures that ensure the core doesn't explode or go dark. I certainly hope she was just being dramatic. I was only at the energy department for an hour, while Director Bashir's finalized the budget submittal. It was nice to have someone who understands that my job is affected by their jobs, and to have those same people put in efforts to make it easier on me. I recognize that not every department, and in fact most departments, will be more annoying to deal with. In all fairness, my career is just a giant game of red light, green light, but I get paid well to pause, and then sprint, and then pause again. So I said my day was mostly uneventful. The real excitement was what I overheard when I was taking my lunch break at a little restaurant. I ate at Rebecca's, that little pasta place with a big white sign right beside the adult bookstore. Well, anyway, I overheard a table of people talking, and their conversation made me more than a little uncomfortable. Judging from what they were saying, I assume they all work in medical, either as doctors or other medical personnel. The condition of the docking bay crew has gotten worse, and the people who were affected have been quarantined to their rooms. I didn't quite understand all the medical jargon they were whispering, but it sounded grave, especially with phrases like heightened aggression levels or dangers to themselves and others. Since that seems to be the case for most of those affected, it sounds like the director of the docking bays will also be confined to their quarters until they recover. I hope they recover, and I really hope this isn't something that's liable to spread to others. The professionals also mentioned a fair amount of staff from the research wing were also in medical and now confined to their quarters. I'm really starting to wonder if that mysterious object that was found is really radioactive or causing this sickness. I'm glad Kyle didn't catch it, and I hope he won't. It didn't sound like the medical professionals who treated those affected have caught any of the afflictions, so that's a plus. I would hate to catch something when I go to medical for their budget submittal. As today is Friday, I'll have the next 2 days off. On Monday, I'll head to security and try to strong-arm them to giving me what I need. I can already anticipate this is not going to go as smoothly as the energy department. But that's a Monday issue. Time for some video games, yeah! Arno signing out. Arno Sano. Audio log December 4th, 2207. So I saw something disturbing today. Today was one of my days off, and I wanted to just unwind and forget the stress of work. Granted, my job is at a current standstill, as I'm waiting for departments to comply with our requests. But it's the prickly sensation of being stagnant and not having a clear timetable or forward momentum. Not only that, but I really miss Sarina. Kyle's been busy with work and sleep, and Rachel has been too occupied with her girlfriend to hang out. Video games can only be so fun. So to get my mind off of Sarina's absence and the absence of anything substantial at work, I decided to go to one of the parks on the station. I really love how the station engineers designed the park's vast spaces to have artificial sunlight, controlled breezes, and trees, grass, and flowers. That particular park is fairly large, perhaps a mile across from end to end. I was sitting on one of the benches, just taking in the warmth of the sunlight, when I heard a commotion. I looked over my shoulder, and I saw a man being chased by security. At first I thought he had stolen something, but then I really noticed the person being chased. His skin looked clammy and sick, as if he had sweated out most of his color. His eyes were bloodshot, with what looked like black veins in the whites around his irises. The guy ran past me. He didn't notice me, but he stared ahead, gazing off into the spaces between spaces, rather than look where he was going. I say that because the sidewalk swerved to the left, and the man tripped over a large rock that was along the perimeter of the walking path. I also remember the man angrily whispering something, quite loudly, something that sounded like, "I have to get away. The voices won't stop screaming at me." When the man fell to the ground, the 4 security guards pounced on him, trying to subdue him. They tried grabbing his arms and legs, but the man thrashed wildly. It got even more serious when he reached forward and bit one of the officers in the cheek. Blood poured from the man's wound, and I couldn't help but watch in grim fascination. The other 3 officers pulled out batons, and they started beating the man with them, but that did little to detract the man's confusing behavior. 3 more security guard officers ran over, and they finally managed to pull the man from the wounded officer. People from medical came by and treated the injured officer. Other security personnel arrived on scene, and I was thoroughly questioned. As I was answering questions, I couldn't help but notice the tension in the officers' voices. Their eyes spoke of something they weren't saying, and I peeked at the crazed man once more. The security officers managed to bind his arms behind his back, and his legs were strapped together at the ankles. They even placed a gag in his mouth to prevent him from biting others or his own tongue. It took several seconds, but then I realized where I'd seen the guy from. He was on the night crew of the docking bay. I met him last year at one of Kyle's mixers. As soon as I had answered all their questions, the security officers let me go back to enjoying the splendor of the park. However, I went home after that. A pulsating lump is starting to press on the insides of my stomach. That man! The one from the night crew, he had been one of the people who had gotten sick. I think for tomorrow I'm just going to self-isolate and stay home. I certainly hope whatever is affecting the night crew is contained. I mean, our administrators would tell us if it was unsafe, right? They would. Surely they would. Arno signing out. Arno Sano, audio log December 5th, 2207. Kyle came over today, and we played some video games. Due to the severe health issues related to the night crew, Kyle only gets 1 day off. I'm lucky he's spending it hanging out with me, and this is a great chance for him to vent. From what Kyle said, the director of the docking bay and the other crew members are out for an indefinite amount of time. An indefinite amount of time. While that sucks for Kyle because of mandatory overtime, it also means I won't be getting a budget submittal from the docking bay department anytime soon. Great. Just great. We're going to have to create an emergency budget projection and submit it on their behalf. But that is a Monday problem. Kyle also told me some of the people who were in quarantine have been reported as being really aggressive and violent, especially toward people who have been going to check in on them. Kyle doesn't know anything more about the large object that was brought in, and no one is talking about it. He suspects that there's something seriously wrong with it, and I'm starting to agree with him. I told him about what I saw in the park yesterday. Kyle told me the guy's name was Travis, and that it had been rumored that while he was in custody, Travis tried to escape again. According to Kyle, Travis was shot several times, and he still didn't die until they shot him in the head. I feel terrible that a man lost his life. As from what Kyle said, Travis was a nice guy. I also feel terrible because what if other people have the same symptoms? I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask about it, or whether I should keep things quiet. I'll probably keep it to myself, as I wouldn't want to get Kyle in trouble. Here's for hoping that it's contained. Coincidentally, I'm heading to the security department tomorrow. Maybe I'll find out more information then? Arno signing out. Arno Sano, audio log December 6th, 2207. Today was an odd day for sure. I had a meeting as soon as I got into the office this morning. Luckily for me, my director understood that the budget submittal delays weren't my fault. In fact, she heard from the upper administration that all budget submittal deadlines have been put on hold until further notice. She didn't get any reason as to why, which seemed strange to her. It certainly seemed strange to me. My director instructed me to maintain my visitation schedule to get as many submittals as I could. Once we have all the ones we can get, the entire budgeting team will come together to craft emergency budget submittals based on last fiscal year's actuals. That means cutting all the proposed increases set forth in this budget cycle. If the departments didn't want their funding cut, they should have adhered to our deadlines. Sucks to suck. After my meeting, I paid a visit to the security department offices. As I was making my way across the station, I overheard plenty of conversations related to what's going on. There are a ton of assaults, and most of the time, the culprits are those who worked on the night crew of the docking bay department. What's really bizarre is that these crazed attackers are trying to bite people. The more I hear about situations like this, the more I'm relieved that Sarina is off station. I really hope we can get things under control. When I finally arrived at the security department offices, I noticed how crazy it was. The officers were coming and going in rapid fashion, and they were all dressed in riot gear. Some of them had bandaged wounds, and they all looked stressed out. I spoke to the sergeant at the front desk and told him who I was. He made a call and then led me back to the back offices. The director of the security offices was seated at his desk, and he was reviewing several tablets. As soon as he saw me, he swore and told me to sit. He explained that he knew exactly why I was there, and he apologized for not submitting the budget to us yet. The director revealed to me that over the last couple of days, there had been a staggering increase of violent attacks. Due to the volume calls, every officer has to pull double shifts, and they are stretched thin. I asked him why he was telling me all of this, and he said plainly, while they could probably handle whatever was going on, the security department will be requesting a larger budget in the next fiscal year, double the amount, in fact. Had I not personally witnessed the attack in the park, I would have been more skeptical. But I did, and so I explained that I saw the value in their request, which made the director very happy. I asked about the officer who I saw got bitten several days prior, and the director's eyes grew harder and more distant. He told me he was not at liberty to discuss the officer's condition. Before I left the director's office, he did tell me something unsettling. He told me not to go out for a while, to stay in, to bar my door. His words carried so much weight to them, and I went right to the office and then right back home after I got off of work. The director's warning bothered me so much that I decided to try and tell my friends. Kyle dismissed it and said it would probably be fine. I couldn't get a hold of Rachel. Arno signing out. Arno Sano, audio log, December 7th, 2207. There is something serious going on, and I'm actually really concerned. I tried to visit medical today to make some headway on gathering budget submissions, but I was prevented from doing so by security. The entire wing was actually blocked off, and security officers with riot armor and assault weapons were posted out front. When I came up to the barricade, one of the officers recognized me and pulled me aside. The officer, Officer Pendleton, told me I couldn't go in, and that he couldn't give me information, but there was a serious incident that occurred. He also told me that the director of security asked to pass along a message to me that a station-wide lockdown was going to be implemented, and because of it, they're planning on asking for 3 times the budget, due to how much is going to be needed to prevent this sort of thing from happening in the future. With that, I was strongly urged to head back home. Not to my office, but to my living quarters. Trust me when I tell you, it was strongly urged. The station-wide announcement blared over the emergency broadcast system while I was on the train to go back home. Attention, all residents. There is a station-wide emergency. Please return to your homes now, and remain there until you have been given clearance to leave. Emergency personnel and station-critical systems are exempt from this lockdown. They have already been made aware. Any deviance from this lockdown will be fined and punished. That message repeated 5 times over the duration of my trip. When I got home, I called Kyle. He was also sent home and is being quarantined. Kyle's pretty nervous, and he let me know that he hasn't been able to get a hold of Rachel or her girlfriend. Kyle and I played some games over the LinkedIn network, but we spoke about all the details we knew for certain. Firstly, things started going to shit when that object was found. Second, people who directly interacted with the object got sick. Third, in the wake of it being brought here, there have been massive violent outbursts. Fourthly, people are missing. And lastly, we're in lockdown now. I heard from my director, and we're still going to be working remotely. However, I'm taking over doing ordinances as Jake was attacked and was hospitalized in the medical wing. I can't believe this is happening. I really hope that whatever is happening gets contained, at least before Sarina comes home. Oh. Arno's signing out. Arno Sano, Audio log December 8th, 2207. Something is moving through the walls. I just heard it, and it went on for like 30 minutes. I was just sitting down to have lunch when the commotion began. At first, it was a slow thing, like a bunch of tapping, only it was continuous. At first, I thought it might have been my neighbors, but it's coming from the ventilation. I was afraid to make a noise or draw attention to myself, so I sat in silence during the whole ordeal, and for like 20 minutes after. I was worried that something else was going to happen. I tried to call Kyle, but I got no answer. My director has also been unreachable. I'm isolated here, and the silence is starting to drown me. As soon as we get through this, whatever the hell is going on, I'm going to push for that 3 times budget increase for... Oh, Goddess! Oh, Goddess! What's going on? This can't be real. It has to be a movie, right? Or a video game, or some kind of prank? What is going on? Oh, Goddess, I gotta go. Arno Sano, audio log December 9th, 2207. Sarina, if you hear this, do not come back to the station. It isn't safe. Something is going on, and I'm not sure exactly what. But it's bad. I had to watch Kyle die on a video call. What attacked him was awful. I don't know, but it wasn't human. From what I've heard, half of the residential districts in the station have been overrun, as well as medical, security, and the docking bays. We're being evacuated to administrative, where the last of security is barricading ourselves in. I was told that we have sent out a distress signal, and that if we can just hold off until then, we should be fine. I know that you're going to be so wrapped up in the archaeological survey that you might not be monitoring the station alerts, or even notice the distress signal.
What are you doing? This place is not safe. We have to go now. Man, this is O number 743. Residential Sector 4 is compromised. I repeat, Residential Sector 4 is compromised. Pulling back now. Let's go. I'm not asking again, you dumb sumbitch. Come on, move it.
Right. Computer, send this audio file to Sarina Denkins now.
Sending audio file to Sarina Denkins. Estimated time, 10 minutes.
All right, I'm coming. Oh, God. Oh.